The Merrell Twins said Filipinos and brown people weren't Asian.
Are you part Asian?
I think so.
Nuh-uh. Because I thought it was Pacific Islander.
There, straight out of their own mouth, they said they thought Filipinos were Pacific Islanders. Pacific Islanders and Asians are not the same thing. And when asked if they're Asian, Nessa answers I think so. Why, if they're actually Asian, would they say I think so? You would say yes if you actually were Asian. When you ask them if they're white, they say yes. If you ask them if they're Spanish, they say yes. But why with Asian, they say I think so. It's because they know they're not Asian. That's why they answer that way.
Waki Shaki said, I'm Asian but brown kind. See, there's so many different types of Asian, and like growing up, we didn't know that. Like,
we didn't associate Asian being that.
Because that's just how it was just taught where we were.
Yeah, where we taught, that's how it was like.
They didn't think brown people were Asian? But who is considered brown Asian? So they claimed to be Filipino, but they didn't consider brown people Asian. But Filipinos are brown Asian. How do you claim to be Asian, but only think East Asia is Asian? Mostly when you claim to be the brown kind.
Here in America, growing up, identifying someone as Asian actually is, I don't know how to say it. We see Asian as just a certain type of group. As I've gotten older, I realize there's way more than just Asians that we thought were Asians, because there's people from Pakistan who consider themselves Asian, like so many other countries.
How are you going to claim you are Asian, but say that growing up you didn't know there were different types of Asians, except the ones they thought were Asian, which we know are East Asians, because as you saw, they didn't consider brown people Asian, which literally is the bulk of all Asians.
So there's also that too, that the word Asian actually represents a ton of other people. So
and there's like a lot of people including us, we grew up not realizing that. And people even around us grew up not knowing that. So, in case you didn't know, it's a thing.
How do you claim to be Asian, but say you didn't know the word Asian represents a ton of other people, and we know they only considered East Asians Asian, because we saw they didn't consider brown people Asian? But if you were Asian, mostly claiming to be the brown kind, how did you not know that Asia represents more than just East Asian? As y'all can see, all this shows, they're not Asian. So for those who still think the Merrell Twins are Asian, well now you see for yourself, they are not Asian, straight from their own mouths. They don't even know who's Asian, except K-pop. Shake my effing head. And for anyone who says, well I'm Asian, and I claim them as Asians, then you're not Asian. The fact that you're accepting people who parade as your race just as a trend, and use your culture as an aesthetic, and were racist and offensive to your race, and you still accept them just because you like them, then I don't consider you Asian either. And I highly doubt any other Asian will either. Remember.
Do you honestly think Asians won't notice that? Let me tell you, Asians will not only notice that, they will find you pathetic and they will avoid you as if you're the freaking plague. Seriously.
The most annoying Asian folks are the ones who condone racism by saying st like, I'm Asian, and I'm not offended, or, stop being so sensitive. You might be thinking that you are taking the high road, but all you are really doing is sucking up to racists. Seriously. If you're Asian and you condone these types of actions, then throw away your Asian card, because nobody will see you as Asian, just like we will never see the Merrell Twins as Asian. They will never be Asian.